All right. I know you're pushing it. We're pushing buttons. We're doing tech things, but welcome, everybody, speaker, coach, friends. Tony's ready. Tony's live too. We got Tony Fonte online today. He's one of my favorite people. We were joking around when we met that I'm like, he's me in man form, you know? Yeah. Yes. It's so funny. And then we talked more and it's like, oh, I have a parallel experience. It was just so many funny things together. So I hope you could see double right here, but he does other things, not the same things I do. So anyways, Tony's on here. He's going to teach us about breaking the cycles of anger because Tony is an intuitive energy healer, a medium, a coach, a speaker, best-selling author. And I'm going to let you kind of tell your story, but what he does is helps specifically men to break those cycles of anger so that you can, because we all want to be the best version of ourselves. We don't want to yell at our kids, all that, but the reality is there's not some magic switch in the back of my, on my back that you can just turn that off. So he's going to teach you how to do that here, or tell us at least a little bit more about how to do that here today. So welcome, Tony.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. That was an awesome intro.
If you love me, you'll love Tony. Okay.
It's so like you either love me or you hate me, one of the two. And I'm all right with both.
Absolutely. Actually, I was just sharing. I need to find this quote by Garrett White, but I heard him on Funnel Hacking Live conference one time. One of the first things he said was basically, he's kind of offensive. Like, you either love him or hate him. He's pretty out there. But he was basically saying, either you're going to agree with me and it's going to confirm your beliefs that you have and your beliefs will be strengthened, or you're going to disagree with me and it's going to confirm your own beliefs that you hold and your beliefs will be strengthened. So regardless of whether you love me or you hate me, you're welcome. I'm going to serve you today, whether you like it or not. So anyways, tell us more about you, Tony. Tell us about your story, the background of why you do what you do, why you're so passionate about it.
So yeah, the passion behind it is because it's been my journey of breaking cycles of anger. Most of my life, I was, struggled with anger, struggled with this inner anger, like inner war, this raging war with anger. And I've talked to many guys, and like, I don't know how to explain it other than there's this inner war inside. And I'm like, I don't know if that makes sense. I said, it does make sense, because that's where I was with this inner battle, trying to figure things out, trying to overcome anger, and failing every single day, and having depression and all these things, and overcoming. Actually used anger to overcome depression, which is, anger can be used for great things when it consumes you and it controls you, and you're out of control with anger and that raging war within. It's scary. And that's when that's all growing up as well. I grew up in an Italian family, and they're like, oh, Italians have bad tempers, and we had this badge of honor, like, oh, he's a Fonte, don't piss him off. And then we just like, yeah, don't fucking piss me off. I mean, it's like those things. And it's like, we held on to those things, but I knew there was something more. Like, I didn't want that anymore. I didn't want to feel that way anymore. And then my wife passes away in 2011 unexpectedly, and I had to raise my daughter, who was 5 at the time, by myself. And I was scared. Not because I had to raise her by myself, even though that's one of the things I said a few days after my wife passed. And I'm sitting there afraid, going, how am I going to raise my daughter by myself? And it still gets me emotional. And it wasn't because I was afraid to raise her by myself. It's because I knew what was going on inside me, and I didn't want to take that anger out on her. I didn't want to, because I loved her, and I wanted to. I mean, she was going through her own grief at 5 years old and trying to comprehend that her mom is no longer physically here. And I'm going, how do I do this? And every day it was a battle. Every day I was battling, trying to be the dad that she needed, trying to be the man, and also grieving on top of that. And every day I failed. Sometimes multiple times a day. You had no idea which Tony you were going to get, whether it's the funny, laughing, having a good time, or if it was going to be the anger, screaming, yelling, hitting, throwing things across the room. And then I would retreat in guilt and shame, and that just compounded every single day. And the burden of that guilt and shame. And every day I was pleading, don't get angry, Tony. Don't get angry. Don't get angry, Tony. Pleading with this God outside of me. Help me. Give me the strength. Give me the strength. Because at the time I was in the church, I had 2 pastors telling me, hey, you may be angry the rest of your life, but keep giving it to God outside of you, and he'll give you the strength. And every day I would wake up and that battle would go on again. I was so exhausted and tired, and that guilt and shame just kept compounding. Tony, please don't get angry. Be there for her. And then I would fail, and I'm like, God damn it, Tony. Why? Beating myself up. Screaming and yelling. I thought you're supposed to help me. Why would you let me suffer? Why would you let my daughter suffer? To hell with me. I'm fine with suffering. The hell with that. Why are you letting my daughter suffer? She doesn't deserve this. It's reliving that experience. And then there was one day, I actually blocked this out for a long time until I actually came back to really focusing on men and helping them become the men and dads that they wanted to be, because men are struggling because they try to repress it, suppress it, because they were taught, you just gotta deal with it and move on and distract from it. Don't listen to the thoughts. Train your mind to be, stronger than your emotions, and emotions are weak, and all this other bullshit that actually got us in trouble in the first place. We long for these close relationships, these close connections, but yet we're unable to because we're so disconnected within and not able to feel our pain. And I remember one day sitting there after struggling and struggling and struggling, after those pastors told me, you may be struggling the rest of your life and failing every day, tired of that guilt and shame, that heavy burden of guilt and shame. And I sat there one day. I remember saying, maybe she'd be better off without me. Maybe she would be better off if someone else raised her. Maybe she would be better off if I was no longer in the picture and couldn't hurt her anymore. That's where I got to that level. My daughter lost her mom, and although I was there physically, I was not there. And then I heard this voice one day, sitting there shortly after I had those thoughts and questions. And that voice whispers to me, and it says, Tony. Kylie, that's my daughter's name, who's 19 today. She just turned 19 today. She said, this voice says, Kylie's going to choose a guy like you someday and marry him. If she were to choose today, would you be happy with that choice? In this rage, I said, oh, hell no, I'd fucking kill him. And then that voice just leaned in, got a little softer, and says, she's watching you. You got work to do. And I remember going, work? I've been working my whole life trying to figure this out. I've done everything I can, therapy, counseling, all these things. And I'm still struggling. Work. I've done this work, and I don't know what else to do. Giving it to this power, like God outside. I'm like, I was at a loss for words. I was so mad. I'm like, what do you mean? And that voice just laughed. And then the voice says, go deeper within. That's where you get the answers. That power is within you. It's not outside of you. You've been looking in the wrong places. And I went, and it was at that moment that I drew my line in the sand. And I said, I was going to overcome anger, or I was going to die trying. I was going to become the best man I could possibly be, or I was going to die trying. I was going to be the best dad I could possibly be, or I was going to die trying. I had no idea how I was going to do it. Okay, I'll go in. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that means, but I'll go within. I don't know if I'm ever going to overcome it. But I burned the bridges. I burned the boats, and I said, there's no going back. Whether I get there or not is irrelevant. My daughter will know when I die that I gave it everything that I could to be that dad for her. She would know without a doubt, whether I overcame it or not, that I loved her enough that I gave everything to overcome it. And I went on that journey. And it took me down a rabbit hole. And it led me to where I am today. doing what I do, helping men break those cycles so they can show up as the man that they want to be, so they can create that inner peace, so they can show up and lead the way they want and create the life that they want, create on their own terms, and laugh through life and have fun on the process of it. But you got to undo everything that you think you are and come home to who you truly are and remember that. And sometimes these guys are knowing it for the first time who they truly are. But there's a piece of this that's unique to me with my gift. I'm an intuitive coach. I'm intuitive.
Wait, before you go there, I just have to say, I'm going to interrupt you because one of the reasons I love you is that you go there, you're willing to go back there to be with them where they are right now. There's someone listening to this right now who's struggling with the exact same thing, and they know that they know that you know what it's like, because I just relived that experience with you, and I know. And even though I didn't struggle with anger, I struggled with something similar, and I had really similar thoughts and responses from people and all of the things. And I just feel so connected with you right now because of your vulnerability and because of what you shared. And it's so powerful and beautiful. And I just wanted to pause and just say that there are people out here right now that are there, and it's sad. And whenever you're struggling in that situation like you were, and especially with something like anger, you tell someone and then they're going to throw your kids in, they're going to take your kids away or something like that. I don't, these are the consequences. It's not something that as a society we're saying, oh, come here and give me a big hug. Let me help you. It's like bad, wrong. Let me slap your hand and do something mean to you. Throw you in jail, take your kids away, all these things. And really what you're saying is, I know who you are, right? I know who you are. I know you want to be a good dad. I know this is your desire. I know you're working on it. And there is a way out. And I just wanted to pause and really re-emphasize that not everybody is reaching their hand out right now. Not everyone understands it, and not everyone's reaching their hand out.
And not everybody knows that they can reach their hand out. Don't know if there's options available, or they think they have to do it alone because that's what men do.
Yeah.
Until they get to that rock bottom. And I want to share the messages and share my stories so these men understand that they don't have to get to rock bottom like I did. They don't have to. They can choose to if they want to, and that's fine. That's their journey, but they don't have to. And I'm sharing it because, yes, I want them to know that they're seen. I want them to know that they're heard. And I want them to say, I know how you feel because I've been there. I've been in those depths of hell. I know what that feels like. I know what it means to, well, maybe I don't deserve to have this life. Maybe I don't deserve to have this great relationship with my daughter. Maybe I don't deserve to have great relationships, period, because when one relationship struggles, so do the rest.
Yeah.
And trust me, I have those as well.
Yeah, and that's a huge commonality. Yeah, like I don't deserve. I'm doing this thing that I don't want to be doing, but I keep doing it. So you mentioned that cycle too of now I feel unworthy even to ask for help. I feel unworthy for everything in my life.
And then it's scary when you do decide to say something, like you don't want to be perceived as weak, right? Because men, we think that vulnerability is weakness, and it's actually the lack of that creates that. And we have these perceptions, if I open up, they're going to use it against me. And that may be the case, because that sometimes happens, but it has nothing to do with you. That's something to do with that person's emotional unavailability. That's really what it boils down to, whether they say they want you to or not. If it freaks them out, it's because they struggle too, and has nothing to do with you. It's a reflection of how you feel on the inside. But when you have all this guilt and shame that keeps compounding, now you feel unworthy, you feel undeserving, you have all these insecurities.
Mm-hmm.
Then now your subconscious and all of that deeper pain is like, nope, you can't. This is safer. Stay here. You can't go here. And you sabotage on a lot of different levels, because you'll pick fights so you can feel that rush of emotion and endorphins, even though it's not serving you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, this is not what I want to do.
And I'm sure you had this experience too. My parallel experience was with overeating, and I know that doesn't sound like it relates at all, but some of the same emotions are there. But I remember when I was reaching out to my dad and I finally opened up, he was like, oh, well, you got to eat. You don't want to be anorexic. It's like the exact opposite of like, no, dad, I'm eating too much. Like, you don't understand. So I think, and there's that fear there too of people who don't understand, or you people, not everybody does understand, but you understand and you've been through it. So tell us, I know you're going into it more, but what is the process that on a high level? Obviously you said it was a journey and kind of a rabbit hole that you took it down, but what's the process that you take your clients through to really help them get to the other side?
I created something that's unique to me. It's called the Laughing Through Life experience. Because when you go through healing, traditionally you think of healing as hard, it's dark, it's heavy, it's painful. So I created a system because that's part of my gift, is being able to use laughter and humor to move and heal versus using it as a distraction. Because we know that laughter is a way to help heal, but I have it in a way where I'm intentional and specific that allows me to use it. And I use my intuition. That's part of my gift, to know where people store it in their body, because I can feel it where they're storing in their body. And then I'll download and channel messages of whatever they're ready to release in that moment. Like, this is it. And they can have breakthroughs, but then I'll take them on an experience too, so they can actually see and feel, use all their senses, taste, smell, all of it, to see the life that they want to create past what the subconscious is telling you can't have, going deep into your soul, who you truly are, so you can see that. But then I have that unique experience to take whatever story they're holding on to. I can make fun of that story and make it a skit. And they're able to laugh. And I tell this to my clients. I said, 3 things are going to happen. I remember when this first began, I didn't understand how my gifts worked. It just happened. And I would say 3 things are going to happen. 1, you're going to cry. 2, you're going to get angry. I know, funny. You're like, oh, anger? Yeah, you're going to get angry for a minute. And 3, you're going to laugh. And sometimes you're going to do all 3. And this confused people. How are you going to do all 3 at the same time? I go, watch. It happens. In the beginning, I didn't know how that worked. I'm like, I don't know. It just happens. Now I know, and I'm intentional in how I use it. And so I created this Laughing Through Life experience, and it takes people on a journey through unbecoming. That's not the word I used before, but I heard someone say this the other day, and I'm like, oh, unbecoming. You're unbecoming everything that you think you are. We're going on a journey to demolish, to destroy all the identities that says you can't, all the identities that says you're not worthy, all the identities that think who you are. We're undoing all of those that you've taken on from childhood, that you've taken on generationally, because this is what it's boiled down to. Everything's been passed on generational. It can be passed on from past lives if you believe in that. I do. So I talk about that. But it's passed on. This is where the generational stuff comes from. And the guys that I work with, I call them the chosen ones. Not in this egotistical thing, because this is something that I realized with myself. I was the one chosen to come here to break these cycles for my family. My ancestors knew it. They're all cheering on, and they're like, yes, he came here. So I had to experience what I did to get to this point. And I've noticed with the clients that I work with, they're here to do the same thing. They're the ones in the family doing it. It wasn't my brother. My brother's older. It was me, because I was different, and I was placed in that family because I had these gifts, and I brought a lightness because I know how to sense the energy, and I can feel the heaviness of energy, and I know what to say, when to say it, and I can make ease, which allows people to transcend whatever they're feeling in that moment with a little lightness. So it allows them to heal with ease, flow, lightness, and fun. That is my process, to go from, okay, we're letting go of these old identities. We're destroying them. I mean, they are getting a freaking atomic bomb on those damn things. And it's layers, it's weeks, layers of those. Then from that standpoint, we're creating a plan. We're creating this vision of what you want to create. And we're understanding your identity, and we're building the ground, the foundation, deep, deep, deep into who you are as a man, who you are as a dad, who you always were. And this is where you welcome home back to who you truly are. And I want to share this quick story that one time I was doing acupuncture, and I went into this meditation as I was doing acupuncture, and I've done some inner child work. And I remember when I had this vision, because I have visions a lot when I'm meditating or doing things. I was in my dreams too. And I remember being in this field. I was walking through this field down this path, and in a distance, I seen this kid running towards me. And as it got closer, I felt this familiarity with this kid. And I realized it was my inner child. And he had his arms open, wide, big smile. And he says, "Welcome home. I've been waiting for you."
Mm.
After all that healing, I'm still connecting with him, feeling safe back in my own body, feeling safe to be me. And that's really what it boils down to, is to really ground. And that's why we work on the foundation of who you are and what you want to create, understanding the reality you want to experience. And then as we're moving forward towards that, you're going to unbecome more. You do so much work here, but now we move into phase 2. And that's where you really start working as you're moving forward towards you want, because more of those stories, more of those beliefs that says you can't, you're not deserving, or they're going to come up, and we can just destroy those as we go. But you're going to create, and it's going to be fun. Then you get to a point, now you're continuing to move forward. We go after the first 3 phases, we move to the bigger of phase 2, and we continue the process of moving forward and growing. And so you can actually create that life that you want. And really what it's about is reigniting that inner fire within you and be able to rise from the ashes. And I have this connection to the phoenix, where the death of the phoenix, and you rise and rebirth from the ashes, and your passion, your power, and your purpose, so that you can actually finally get the fulfillment that you've been seeking outside of you. But you got to go within first. And from within is where you create.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. And just your process as well. It is so unique because it's so grounded in who you are and what your special gifts are to people. But I mean, I'd go all in. I'd go all in on you, Tony. I'd work with you because, okay, I get to hang out. You're going to tell me what's going on. I don't have to figure it out myself. You're going to be there with me. And there's this lightness that comes, and, you can just see your passion for this and your desire. And on the other side, you get to be, like you said in the beginning, you get to be the father that you want, the man that you want. They get their father back. And then this new, vibrant, beautiful way that really, that's just what I'm thinking as I'm listening to you. I'm like, you're giving people their families back,
Yes.
the family they've always desired. And wow. And I love how you said they're the chosen. Like, don't think of this as there's something wrong with you or you're broken, but you're the one who's standing up and who's ready to deal with this generational curse that's been in your family forever. And
you are stronger than you think you are. And when you're dealing with a lot of these curses and these cycles you're breaking, it can be so heavy, and you're like, why did I choose this? But again, we get to move through it with some lightness, because I have been the one that goes through when I want to give up, because it can get heavy and hard when you're dealing with all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm by your side and I have these tools and gifts, people have shifted quickly within a matter of weeks, that they started creating shifts. And it's beautiful to watch how fast it happens. And then we work with the energy along with that, because everything is stored in the body and energy. And when we start moving that along with the other intuitive gifts, there's magic that freaking happens. And it's so cool to watch, because it doesn't take you years as it did for you to get where you're at. It doesn't take years to uncover and to create what you want. I remember when I began this journey, before I even had my spiritual awakening in 2019, when I began the journey, it was about a year and a half that I actually started having a great relationship. I overcame, but it still took me a while, to like another 6-9 months or so, to really own and embody and integrate that I was a good fucking dad. That was great. And one day it actually came out of my mouth before I thought about it, and I actually caught myself and stopped myself in the tracks and went, well, I've never been able to really say that before without tensing up. And I went, huh. And I go, you know what? I am. And that was the moment I own it. I'm like, I am a good dad. Because I always used to say, yeah, but. Yeah, when someone would tell me you're a great dad, you've done, I'm like, yeah, but, because I was always like, oh, I got this work to do. I constantly thought I had to have this work to do. And we're all work in process. And finally, you know what? I'm not perfect. I'm not going to be perfect, and never meant to be perfect. And my daughter knows that. We have an amazing, amazing relationship now. And I'm so proud and grateful that I've created that home here that I've always wanted and never could. And my dad could never do it. My mom could never do it. They never could. And I have tons of stories that I've had conversations with my dad on this whole subject before he passed away in 2020, where I channeled, I knew stuff that was going to happen with him. And I had conversations, which was very uncomfortable in the beginning because we
Yes.
don't have that kind of relationship. But he confirmed, like I said it without him like directly saying it, but I said it in a way that he knew that I knew.
Mm-hmm.
And then he started opening up, and the energy between us shifted. And I remember breaking the cycles, and because I remember I kept pleading with my guides and saying I want to have a relationship with my dad that I never did. And they kept saying he can't do it here. It has to be from the other side because he's shackled. And I remember dreaming, and I had this dream of him having shackles on his arms, and his guilt and shame was so strong that he was creating this suffering within him that he couldn't do it here. He couldn't undo that. He had to transition over to be able to get there. And that is the beauty. Is like, this is why I do what I do.
Yeah.
He never could. My mom never could. I was here for that.
Yeah. And now people who connect with you, the men who find you, the men who connect with you, they're the ones that are ready to do that, to be the chosen one, to change the transit, to break those generational curses. And really, I mean, what you're creating is it's the core of our society to have a beautiful, happy family where you can connect with your children. And like you said, you have those amazing conversations with them where she knows where you've been and what you've overcome. And she knows if she has any issues that, you've been there, the answer. I can come to him. And whenever I need my dad, I can come to him. I want to ask you that question you asked yourself a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
that she's going to marry you right now. And are you okay with that?
I am now.
Yeah.
100% I am. And
Yeah.
it gets me, whew. It's the first time I've been asked that question. But yeah, I am 100% happy with that choice because I know now that I am that safe place for her. I am what that masculine is meant to be, that protector, that provider. It's not monetarily that we've been taught. It's energetically, emotionally. Can my daughter come to me for anything? And she knows that because she's got a lot of anxiety and panic because of the trauma with her mom. And still holding on to how I was in the beginning too, but she knows that I've done it. But I'm like, hey, I've done my part. That's yours. And we have this conversation, but she's got to be able to move that herself. But she'll have panic attacks. And there's sometimes that she doesn't even, like, if I'm sleeping, she'll come in and just lay by me, just because by being by me, it goes away. She'll feel safe enough where it doesn't go into a full-blown panic attack. And I remember laying there one night and I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like I know now. And I'm like, oh, you anxiety. And of course I can feel it sometimes. Like, I can connect with her energy very well. And I'm like, you got anxiety, don't you? And she's like, yeah, I feel like I'm going to have a panic attack. She'll just lay there. And within a few minutes, it releases, goes away because she feels like, okay, I'm safe. Without saying words, I'm safe. She sits there, and then she gets up a few minutes later and goes back into her bed. Still at 19, this is what she does. And then sometimes she'll wake me up. She's like, wakes me up and like all asleep. And she's like, and I hear this, Dad, I need you. And I can hear it in her voice. I'm like, oh, she's having a panic attack. And I immediately grab her hand. I'm like, you're good. We're good. Anyway, wait, let's breathe. And we breathe through it until it subsides. But I'm like, wakes me up immediately. I'm like asleep. And I'm like, oh, and I go right into dad mode immediately. It's like, I'm awake now and we're moving through it.
Yeah.
And we move through it. So she's got her story, but yes.
What? Yeah, but like, oh my gosh, I'm just thinking of the dads watching this right now that are struggling with this right now, and being able to know that a few weeks from now, a few months from now, you're going to be able to be that safe place. And it makes me almost want to cry because, yeah, as kids, you need that safe place. That's what we, as children, we need that safe place. That's what's missing from so many homes and families, is to feel loved, to feel safe, to feel protected, like you're saying. And you get to be that dad, and the truth that they're going to marry who you are. They're going to marry who you are. I think that's such a great reflective question for anybody watching right now. Like, they're going to marry who you are. Are you okay with that? And if you're not, then we got to do something about it. But you can be this safe place where you absolutely are. So tell us, I know we could talk hours and hours on this, so tell us Tell us for all the people who are like, yes, Tony, I need you. I need to hang. I need that shift. That's not a maybe. That has to happen.
Yeah, it has to. It's the draw
Yeah.
your line in the sand moment. This is when I ask when I'm doing workshops or I'm speaking from a stage is are you ready to draw your line in the sand? It doesn't matter if I'm working with, I mean, this can go, you could take everything I'm saying here, whether you have anger or not, you can take this for anything. Are you ready to draw your line in the sand? Because you got work to do. And I will say this, whether it's your kids or not, someone's watching you. Whether it's your inner child, someone is watching you. And you came here for something great. Otherwise, you wouldn't fucking be here. Period. Whether you feel it or not, and I'm feeling this right now, but whether you feel it or not, you came here for something or you wouldn't be here. And everything that you are experiencing right now is leading you to this big magnetic, powerful moment. Are you ready to draw your line in the sand? And you have work to do because someone is watching you. Men, your kids are watching you. Do not worry about being perfect because you're not going to. And when you begin this journey, don't beat yourself up when you fail. I mean, you didn't change, you didn't get to where you were overnight. You're not going to overcome it overnight either. Give yourself some fucking grace that you haven't been giving yourself because you've been beating the shit out of yourself. How do I know that? Because I was that guy. And I could still catch myself doing it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, nope.
And
We don't go there.
Yeah.
You get to wake up proud of the man staring back at you in the mirror. Yeah. Proud of what you've become, proud of who you're becoming, because it's a journey, not a destination.
Yes. My goodness. Mic drop. I just, again, like I said, I love you, Tony, so much. I was like, how can I help you?
I love you back.
What can I do for Tony? He just like, what you have is it's so much clarity. It's so much purpose. It's such a special gift, really, to speak to that and open up to that and to articulate it in a way that people understand and be able to share in a way that understand, but then also to be able to provide them the space where they can get through it. And you're not going to have to keep struggling and keep every day like, oh, you're stuck with this all the time. We talked about that. That always makes me so mad whenever people say that. I'm like, was I born with it? I mean, part of it you kind of are, but I'm like, I wasn't always this way. And we're here to overcome. We're here to grow. We're here to change. I'm not going to be stuck with this thing forever.
And then when it's a family thing, it's a beautiful thing. And I remember saying this when I said this to my brother, when he told me I was going to end up having a heart attack like he did and my dad did. And this is right when I began my journey too, when I just said, okay, I'm going to figure this out. I'm drawing my line in the sand. My dad had triple bypass like a couple months after I decided this. My brother goes, oh, this is going to happen to you too. And I said, no. And at the time I had no idea what it meant. It just came out. I know my soul was speaking this in this moment. And I said, it's not going to fucking happen to me. I said, I am breaking the cycle and I'm changing our family tree. And I remember going, what the fuck is that? I don't even know. What the hell did I just say?
Where's
that's it.
But yeah.
You are the cycle breaker. You are changing your family tree and you're healing generations forward, but also because your ancestors are cheering you on, you are actually healing the energy going back. That's what breaking the cycle means. You're healing it from centuries back, 7 generations back, and you're moving it forward. Now the trajectory, the energy, the vibration moving forward is changed, is completely shifted. New branches are being grown from this tree. And now that tree is being carved and what's the word I'm looking for? Reshaped. It's actually changing before you realize, and those roots are changing. Now they're then in healthy soil and growing deeper. That's what this is about. Yeah. I can go on and on.
I know you can. I got you. Hang out with Tony. He can go on and on. I got here your free guide. The link is in the comments as well. Connect with Tony on Instagram is your favorite place. Find him anywhere you can find him, but get there, run, don't walk. Honestly, and I think too, if you're listening to this and you know somebody who's struggling, share this video with them. I never say that in my interviews. As first time I've ever said that, but really, this is something that that they need. They desperately need. They've been crying on the bathroom floor. They've been praying every day. They've been screaming it out saying, I wish I knew how to overcome this, just like Tony has. expressed today. And there is a way out, and there is someone who understands. And yeah, just thinking of the ripple effect of all that's happening in, like you were saying before, in the past, in the future, with your children, with all the people that are around you and who you can influence because you've stepped into this new version in your business, in your career, in your ministry, if you're at church or any other organizations that you're involved in. It's not just affecting your family, it's affecting everyone that you come in contact with. Whenever you get to stand up and love who you are in the mirror and be kind and show up on this level that's fun and laughing and enjoying life.
And that's the Laughing Through Life experience, the Laughing Through Life movement. It's more than just being able to laugh more. It's becoming who you always were so you can have fun on the journey no matter what's going on. And that's, you can't see my shirt, but that's what it is. Laughing Through Life. And this is a movement that I've created, and it's the process that I use. It's so much more than just, oh, we all need to laugh more. It's more than that.
Yeah.
And everywhere I go, I have the ability to do that no matter if I'm in a restaurant or whatever. I'm having fun. I'm getting people laughing because that's part of who I am. And I know how to do that. It's just in who I am. And I do that. And I can see the lightness in all things.
Yeah. And it's a joy that comes from your toes. I'm sure people are always asking, like, wow, Tony, how are you so joyful? How are you just glowing all the time?
Right? I have my moments. I'm human. We all do. It's people are like, oh, you look like you're having fun all the time. Most times. But let's be real. Like, we all see what we see on social media. I'm like, I go through my heavy times too. And guess what? I can still laugh in some of those heavy times too, because I can make myself laugh. Because I'm like, I need to laugh, because if not, holy shit. But there's times, but it's not, how are you doing it all the time? It's like, oh, be positive all the time. It's not possible. You're human. No. And you're just gaslighting yourself, and bypassing yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, how are you able to move through it faster? That's all it boils down to. But first, you got to accept that part of it and go, okay, this is where I'm at the moment. It's not all pretty.
Yeah, and you can learn from it so much. I mean, it's, like you said, it's there for a reason, and It was in your life for a reason, and there's a reason that's here. I know lately I've just, every time, I don't know if your life is like this, but I'm a roller coaster. One of my coaches like, Michelle, you're a roller coaster. I was like, I know, right? I have my highs, but I have my lows, and on those lows, lately I've just been like, thank you so much for this low. Thank you for everything that is here it's here to show me. So let's end it there. Is there anything else you want to end us on today, Tony?
Someone's watching you, and you have the power within you. Go deep within. Draw your line in the sand, and don't look back. I promise you, you will get there. If this dude can get there, you can get there.
Yeah, beautiful.